Hello. I could eat about 1.5 million of these.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Welcome to the It's a Drama podcast.
Daddy, I love him.
My mother thanks you.
If you can't say something nice.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I am Liz.
And I'm Sonny.
Oh, you're just about to take a sip of tea there, eh, Sonny? Mm-hmm. There you go. And today we are back together.
On the It's a Drama podcast.
Yes, because you've had a couple of weeks off, haven't you, Sonny?
I actually only had one. I was going to say we only had 1 week off because you recorded 2 podcasts in a day, but
Yep.
for them it would be 2 weeks.
Got pushed over by the Muppet.
Trying to get his ins.
Brian was...
Little 7 minutes of fame.
Yeah. And now we're back to talk about Charleston, South Carolina and the things to do there. We went there last year. No, actually, it's a year before now, is it? Mm-hmm. No, last year.
2 years ago.
2 years, no, yeah.
Oh.
No, it was last year, late last year when we came back. And we...
2 years ago.
Right, okay, yes. We went to Charleston, South Carolina and had a great... Look, Brian, please... You're not on it this week. You just need to be quiet now. And we...
Oh, we enjoyed it.
We did enjoy it, yeah. And
it was one of our first places we stayed in America by ourselves as a family.
Yeah.
Because normally we were with my dad's brother and then his cousin. And we did go to Washington, but that was after Charleston.
Yeah.
So it was like our first... And even on the trip, it was our first proper break out of the... people staying with people we knew phase,
What's the first thing you think of when you hear Charleston, South Carolina?
The man giving us the ghost tour.
No. Not now you've been. Before, what did you think? When if you hear South Carolina, Charleston, what would you...
Forrest Gump, South Carolina, that South America kind of...
Yeah.
Anywhere with the word South in it, I instantly go to, like rednecks and, Forrest
Careful.
Gump and... Yeah, that's what people call, people that live in...
I don't think they do, Sonny.
Oh, don't they?
No.
I've heard it all the time.
I don't think they say, "Oh, you're a redneck because you live in the south of America."
No, but it's like because they work out in the sun. The farmers work out in the fields, and they get rednecks because they get sunburned.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll tell you what I was a bit worried about. I had this impression of Charleston being a bit of an old fogey place to go, Like when we went to America, we obviously went to Orlando and Fort Lauderdale and Washington, New York. But Charleston, I don't know, I was a little bit worried about taking 2 teenagers to Charleston because I thought, is it just going to be horse and I knew you wouldn't like the old horse and carriage twee thing.
I love that. Well,
you would love to.
Made us watch a whole season of Downton Abbey. That's all it was about.
No, but what I'm saying is it's more for the older generation, isn't it? Or do you think it is?
For boring people.
Yeah, no, but I just didn't think 2 teenagers.
2 teenagers would want to go after Disneyland to horse and carriages.
So what I'm trying to say is I was a bit worried about taking you there, going there as a family. But as it was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was really nice, yeah.
And we're just going to talk about that because do not miss going to Charleston. And especially if you've got kids or teenagers, especially teenagers, because we had an absolute ball. We stayed there for 3 days, was it? Mm-hmm. And it was actually the first place that we couch surfed in America.
That's what I was saying. The first time we broke free of staying with people we knew, places we knew.
Mm. Do you remember that first night we turned up?
Not staying here.
You little snob. And the lady was so lovely and she was out.
She wasn't there.
No, she was at a Christmas party. That's what I mean. And how trustworthy. So this couch surfing lady was in Charleston. Mm-hmm. She was only young, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And she sent me a text saying, "Oh, the key to the house is in the letterbox." We just turned up.
I knew what kind of place it was going to be when I turned up and the floor mat said, "Leave all your negative energy outside, only positive people inside this house." And I was like, "Oh God, where are we?"
Yeah, well, she was into yoga and alternative. She had the most gorgeous little house. Do you remember? She had that deck overlooking a big, like a marshy area, didn't she?
Like Shrek Swamp.
Yeah. And she had this big swing and little like a yoga swing that she did. She sat on.
Yeah.
And you're right. She did have all those positive affirmations posted around her house and stuff.
But it was weird because we got there and there was a little There was no one there. It was all these 2 rooms, and then there was a little room at the back of the house with a TV on, and we thought someone was in there.
Oh yeah.
It was just like, remember that?
Yeah.
We were like, who's in the house? You know, who is that?
Someone locked in the basement
Yeah.
sort of thing. But then that was just you just making.
Where did they hide the body? Check the freezers.
But you and Tess had your own room, and me and Brian had our own room, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
It
wasn't
is now looking back on it, but it was so new to me because you turned up, there was no bedding on the beds, you know. It was freezing and there was a little heater, and it was just the whole house was dark. You had to turn the lights on. It was just weird because it was like walking into some random's home and then not being home and you setting up camp in their house.
It
was
is a
just,
weird feeling.
Well, obviously not now because, you know, or even now it would still be like, I don't know, a bit weird. But when we were into like the proper full swing of travelling halfway through the year, it would have just been like, okay, get up, settle in, you know. But it was the first place we'd stayed. It wasn't the best first experience, but it probably was in a way that, you know, it kind of foreshadowed what was coming for us in the next year. But for us then it was like, oh my God, this is just a different world, turning up to some person's house and setting up camp in there, you know.
But it was a great base, wasn't it? Because we hired a car, and we what's that noise? Oh, I thought I could hear Tess playing the ukulele. We hired a car, and we just drove into Charleston and just spent our days there, didn't we? And then came back late at night. She didn't particularly want to socialise with us because it was around Christmas time. It was in December, and she was out at some, you know, all these Christmas parties and things. So it was really easy.
Yeah, it was.
You know, she was just. But yeah, so we drove into Charleston. I just want to cover the parking side in Charleston because the great thing about couch surfing is they give you a couch surfing host give you tips about the city that you would never find normally, would you? And she said, go down to the Battery, it's called, on the seafront in Charleston, and you can park there all day for nothing. So we did that. We went down there, we parked the car, and it was, we just left it there and didn't have to pay, which was fantastic.
Thinking about that, where would you say if people came to New Plymouth and they were staying with us, where would you send them for free parking?
Free parking?
'Cause I was just thinking about, I can't think of one place where there's free parking all day.
For a start, outside the place where you work, which you wouldn't let me park in the other day.
Well, no, that's different because I can't, because it's a private car park and they'll clamp you if you don't ring them up and say this car's now
I know all
in the
free
designated
places to
spot.
park in New Plymouth.
Oh.
Yeah, up by Stage Centre, you can park for free if you get the right
In
spots.
the operatic rooms?
No, don't ever park in there. They go mad.
I always do.
I parked in there once and they wrote a really nasty thing on my... Well, not nasty, but they put a letter and said, we will clamp you if you park here again. So don't park there. Anyway, going back to Charleston, because we're not talking about New Plymouth, Sonny. So we went to Charleston, and the things that we did that we loved... Well, what was the best thing you did that you loved in Charleston?
Probably the ghost tour. Probably getting the ghost tour and then buying those handmade scarves. And remember that little market we went to?
All right, so that's a good point to talk about. It's called the Charleston City Market.
Yeah.
And at Christmas, it was just gorgeous. It's on Market Street. It's massive, isn't it? Is it all indoors? It was all indoors, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. There
was some outdoor stalls as well, was it?
One indoor and then an outdoor and then one indoor and then an outdoor.
That's right. You just walked through one to the other, didn't you? Yeah, it was all undercover.
Yeah, it was undercover, but it was freezing.
Well, it's winter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Tell everyone what we did because you were cold. What did we do?
Bought me a scarf.
Yeah, exactly. Bought you a scarf.
$10.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, kept you warm, didn't it?
I've heard the end about that scarf. I've still got it. It's in my wardrobe now. It's a nice big blanket scarf.
It was lovely, actually. You look really nice in that.
Got pictures of it.
Yep, we'll put a picture in the show notes of Sunny's scarf. So, yeah, the market was brilliant. And shall we talk about the... Oh, no. First of all, let me just tell about that restaurant we went to.
Yeah. Oh, the radio
No.
kind of shack feel one with a picture of
Sunny.
Mr. Blue Sky. That's it, yeah.
Stop asking him, because every time you ask him, he talks back to us. And when you listen back, all you can hear is in the corner. Just ask me, I can help you.
Yeah, so it was like a nice radio-y kind of...
Yeah.
And it was... What did we have? I think I had like a burger or something, and then I had a root beer.
It was called the Brown Dog Deli. And it was full of 1980s memorabilia. And basically, it was the cheapest place to go in Charleston for sandwiches for lunch. We kept going back there every day, didn't we? Obviously,
were we there for 2 days?
3 days we went.
Did we?
And we had like a burger. And anyway, so it was, I can recommend that place. It's called the Brown Dog Deli. And do you remember the vegan restaurant that we went to? That was called Dell's Uptown.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Sonny?
That wasn't very nice.
Yes, it was.
I don't like vegan things.
No, you had the pizza and you loved it. Remember?
Did I?
Why are you asking him?
I've got a picture I took in the bathroom of that place. And, what? No, it was just me in the mirror. And,
Oh, yeah.
and post bathroom pictures. And no, I remember that. It was like a little higgledy-piggledy.
It was gorgeous.
Weird.
No. Well, do you know what? You loved it at the time. I think you're just being silly because you really liked it. Do you remember had that big pizza? It was
Yeah, but
vegan.
I remember where we even sat. We sat on those weird rickety chairs.
Yeah.
Remember on that bar kind of thing.
Yeah, and it had a view over the street. It was right in it was in a neighbourhood, wasn't it? Do you
It was
remember?
like in a little dodgy neighbourhood, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't dodgy, but it was in a neighbourhood, yeah. But please, anyone who's listening to this, don't listen to Sammy's opinion because he doesn't know what he's
No,
talking
it was
about.
nice. I
It was
think.
gorgeous.
I can't remember. It was 2 years ago. I can't remember what the pizza tasted like.
But I think it's really hard when you go to a city, especially when you're with teenagers
Mm.
or kids, to just think, I mean, why?
How do we
why-
have pizza without cheese?
What?
How do we have a vegan pizza? It doesn't have cheese on
It
it.
didn't have cheese on it. It had like avocado on top and like all these vegetables. And I'm going to put a picture of that pizza because,
Okay.
yeah, it was honestly, it was lovely. So, and lots of people now, Sonny, are vegan, you know. It's the thing to be now.
Well, only if that's your, if that's what floats your boat.
Yeah.
Personally, I like a nice steak,
Yeah,
lamb
but,
chop.
Yeah, but it like is really,
Trendy.
You know what it is. So we're
But do you
ahead
think
of the
people
times
do
now.
it just for the trend? I know I'm going to get probably shunned for this, but do you think people do it just for the trend? Or do you think they actually... Because I was thinking about, do they do it for a health benefit? Or do they do it for... Oh, that was the pizza. Hang on, the A's showing us a picture of the pizza.
Brian's just showing us a picture of the pizza. No, go on. What were you doing for the... Yes, well, they do it for all different
Oh, yeah,
reasons,
hang
but
on,
we're not
yeah,
going to be
of course
talking about that now.
Oh, yeah. So it did have cheese on it. Oh, that looks...
It was lovely. It was really nice.
It's definitely a very full pizza.
Yeah, it was good value. So let's not go into the
Veganism.
No, let's not go into that. But
Save
I will
that for
tell
another
you, when I
podcast.
was 17 years old, I turned vegetarian, but I would eat
No
bacon.
pasties for Liz.
No, I would eat bacon because that doesn't count because that wasn't And also, I liked the odd chicken burger from Wendy's.
Oh,
So, but that didn't really count because that didn't.
not vegan then.
It wasn't red meat. So I can only talk for myself
Colour's
about
bacon then.
I can only talk for myself about doing things that are in the trend because I did. But
Yeah.
anyway, so go to the vegan restaurant. Don't
Yeah.
be put off by the fact that it's vegan. It was
It was nice, a homely kind of feel,
It was,
if I
it was
remember
lovely.
correctly.
Yeah,
Lots of wood and like,
And do you remember they let us bring
red
our
lights.
own wine as well?
did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Do
why
you
I
remember?
recommended it then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, they did. They said, "Oh, would you like to?" Because we went there 2 nights on the trot, and I'm like, "Oh,
Did we?
yeah, we did."
Oh,
Yeah.
God, wow, okay.
And next night they said, "Oh, can you bring? You can bring some wine if you like." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant!" So next night we took our own wine.
Oh, very nice.
So the best thing
Mm-hmm.
about Charleston, if you go to Charleston, even if you don't go with kids, I can't think of anyone who wouldn't enjoy this.
No.
Was the ghost tour,
Yeah.
the walking ghost tour?
Yeah.
Go on then, tell us.
Wow, it was scary. Well, firstly, we'll start with the other walking tour we had in the day,
Yeah,
which was the...
we did 2, didn't we?
was it
Sorry,
called?
I'm eating.
Sorry, what was it called?
It was just it was like a step back in time history walking tour. Of
It was about the
Charleston.
the native
slavery, and
Black
things like
Americans
that.
that got worked in Charleston and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
how it was unfair for them and stuff like that. Just like a slavery tour, but for Charleston. And it was this guy. I don't want to have to keep saying black guy, but like it was, because context, like he was, and that's why he was doing the tour, because it was like his ancestors and stuff, and he was doing the tour, and it was really good, wasn't it? His name was Damien Jensen, I think. He had a YouTube, and he's called the American Storyteller on YouTube, and it was just really good. I've still got his card. I remember he
Yeah.
started off by playing that like thing. It was like harmonica, was it?
Harmonica,
He started
yeah.
off by playing this really like, kind of a bit like Amazing Grace style
Yeah.
harmonica playing.
Yeah. Yeah, Corgi and Best Summertime.
Summertime,
played,
yeah.
Yeah.
And but that was our first walking tour we did in the day. That lasted like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Freezing, but it was quite good.
Oh, come on. You can
It
do
was just
better than
filled with
quite good, Sonny.
It was just filled with little things like and we only tipped him like $10.
Yeah, we didn't have any money. $10 is a lot of money.
And
It was a bit embarrassing, wasn't it? Because
Yeah.
everyone was like giving lots of money. Yeah.
it was only us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I was getting mixed up with the other. Yeah.
And it was only us on the Ghost one as well.
Was it?
Yeah. Both times it was just us on both tours,
I'm
private
getting
tours.
confused.
It was just filled with things like him walking past a police officer going, "Warrant officer." You know, just like
Yeah.
really American-y things.
He was about 7 foot tall and he was like built like
Yeah.
a massive brick
And he had like
thingy
you know,
house.
big brick house.
Yeah, he was like
and
a
he
big-
had like a nice hat on and a
Yeah,
scarf
he
and
was
his gloves.
so cool.
Big like tweed coat, and it was just like, oh.
And he talked with that deep, lovely, rich
accent.
southern accent.
Anyway, the Ghost tour.
Well, no, hang on. So that was the day tour.
Yeah,
wasn't
that was the
it?
day tour. So that
Yeah.
was so compared to that, it was completely different.
Do you think-
it was an old white little guy, you know, with his? You'd almost expect him to have a little
What we're
pipe in
talking
his
about, the
mouth.
Ghost tour?
Yeah, the Ghost
Yeah.
tour, a little pipe in his mouth. You know, he was very like hunched over with his flask of tea and very like ghost toury, you know,
Yeah.
like something you'd see in a film where the guy's got the lantern and he goes, "Oh, this way, ladies and gentlemen."
Yeah.
Except he was American.
Can I just say though, Sonny, he was an he acted on Broadway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah.
He was telling us about that. So he was, you know, that's why he was so brilliant at all that because.
Performing.
Yeah, he was just, go on anyway.
So we started off at the bookshop both times
Mm.
because it was booked through the bookshop. Did you say you were going to do a write-up for them? No?
No, that was Washington.
Okay. So yeah, we said we were going to do the tour, and we got turned up to the bookshop, and then we went out, and it was just like
It was really
cold,
dark,
dark,
wasn't it?
cobbled streets, gas lights, but like not gas lights, like proper lights, but like gas light frames with light bulbs in them,
If you've never been to Charleston,
like
so-
Narnia lights.
Yeah, it was. And if you've never been to Charleston, it's like stepping into a picture book, isn't it?
And there was no one there, so
No,
it was
I
just
know,
like
it was really
walking the
quiet.
streets. You know, you've got the odd Range Rover and nice cars there, and I remember all the colourful buildings as well. That's
Yeah.
another thing you got to say is
Yeah.
all the buildings are colourful, but it didn't make a difference because they're all black and white in the dark.
Yeah, but they'd all like put these beautiful decorations in their windows. They had like
Christmas
little
lights,
panes in, you know, the little square panes and everything. It was just like something out of Dickensian times or
Yeah,
whatever, wasn't
yeah.
it? It was just lovely.
And just saying Dickensian's not actually a time. That's just his universe he made up was Dickensian.
Yeah,
Georgian
but you know,
times.
like
Yeah.
the era that Dickens wrote.
Just
in.
people won't know what you mean when you say, Dickensian times, because that's not a time in history. That's just his universe that he wrote. But anyway, sound like a bit of a know-it-all. And he said, and so we started off, and the first ghost was the one that hung himself in the big building. So he would tell us the ghost story. No, he'd take us to the location, and then he'd tell us the ghost story, the supposedly true ghost story of what happened
They were
in
true.
the location. Well, you don't know if they were.
I reckon.
But like, you know, well, you know, they all happened, the events all happened, but you don't know if the ghost part was true. I don't know how skeptical people are. But yeah, it was just like,
Do you believe in ghosts, Sonny?
yeah, I think I do. I've never really had enough of an encounter with one to say it's true.
But what about when we went to the graveyard
Yeah.
in Charleston? And he said, remember, he said, you will probably feel something very strong, and you might see a woman
Yeah, the woman in the white,
in the white.
white
They're always
wedding
in white.
dress.
Why are they never in yellow?
Because she was in a wedding dress and she killed herself because they couldn't marry themselves or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, he stood her up at the altar and she killed herself or something like that, wasn't it? Or something.
Yeah, something like that. We don't know the exact story, but it was the lady in the white wedding dress. And it's not always the woman in white; they're often in black as well.
Yeah,
know,
but
the
you
woman
never
in
see.
black.
Yeah, but you never hear a ghost story. It's like, oh, and she comes and she's got, you know, a light blue
Well, you
dress
do.
on.
Sometimes, she's seen in a. Sometimes she'll be seen in a lilac pink dress, or lilac pink, pink dress.
Yeah,
lilac pink dress.
A purpley pink dress.
Yeah, but anyway, that's irrelevant. So there was like the one about the guy in the building, then there was the one about the haunted inn that you took us to see afterwards. The haunted inn with the.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
The
but just,
torso.
Yeah.
Without
About
the
the
arms,
hotel.
the head, the legs. It was just a floating torso that screams when you wake up, and people heard it breathing.
Do you think that tour would have been suitable for little kids? I'm going to say no.
No, not like
It
little
was,
kids.
to be honest, Sonny, it was bloody
I've
terrifying.
got a friend
wasn't
now who probably wouldn't go on it.
it? Who? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You've just mouthed
I've
it
just
to me.
mouthed
I
it, but I
had
can't
no
say
idea
who
what
it
you
is.
said, Sonny.
But you know.
Just tell me later. Just
Yeah,
tell
I
me
will.
later, it's fine.
And it was just
Oh yeah, I know who you mean.
you know who I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, close enough.
In the same city.
Yeah, and I'd just say it wouldn't be suitable for that person because they'd be way too scared.
But if I was a parent, well, obviously I am a parent, but do you know, Sonny, I've got to say this to you, and you're not going to like this when I say this, but I almost wanted you
To be scared?
terrified, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so you
Just
could
like
come
that
to me
time
and go,
you throw the
"Oh."
fake spider on me from
Yeah,
the back
but
of the car. Or...
there's a certain joy that a parent gets when seeing their children slightly terrified, especially teenagers, because it's almost like you don't have much power as a parent anymore, and that little bit of power, and I can tell you now.
Did it work?
Yeah, because I can tell you now, looking
Did it
over
float
at
your boat?
Tessa's face, it did float my boat. Looking over at Tessa's face that night, oh, she was terrified.
Yeah, she
wasn't
was.
She was
I was
so
terrified in that
scared.
graveyard. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I've never been in a graveyard like that before.
I must admit, I was terrified.
Just
Describe that graveyard.
the graveyard was, well, you turn up and he'd go, it's all locked up because we don't want people going in there. And you're like, well,
It was like
right.
this big iron
Hang on.
gate. Sorry to know, but say about the gates.
I will say about the gate, but it wasn't a big iron gate. It was a little rusty iron gate. It was very it was surrounded by a brick wall, and it's like, what are they trying to keep out? What are they trying to keep in? Big brick wall covered in like vines and overgrown. The trees growing over the top of it, and telling me to look at you. I'm trying to
Because you keep looking at
share the
him.
attention with the two
No.
people, and you'd turn up and it was turn up. He'd take us over, and it was a big 4 brick wall, and there was a church in there as well. And he basically just said, "I'm like one of the 3 people that have got a key for the graveyard." And he went over to the little archway in the wall, and he unlocked the gate, opened it up, and showed you in. And it was just like walking into a garden, like overgrown garden with graves in there.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
and he pulled his torch out. No lights in there at all, so it was completely dark. No, none of the lamp lights or anything reached over the wall. So the whole area inside was pitch black.
Was, yeah.
So all you could see was his torchlight on the floor, and you're walking over like broken stones that have overgrown, and it was just terrifying. It was just like you're walking through this graveyard, and it's like, oh my god, it's so overgrown, and there's graves, and all the while you're like, I'm on a ghost tour, so there's got to be something in here. You could almost just feel the presence of all the rotting bodies in the ground.
Say that.
But anyway, so we turned up there, and I'm not going to tell every single ghost story that there was, because
No,
there was like
no.
the whistling man and everything else,
Yeah.
wasn't there? And
No, I think the point is that normally, I think the reason we're talking about it is because I don't know about you, but when I hear like, oh, go on a tour, a ghost tour or something like that, I just think, I just think like, like a bit naff, and a bit, like boo sort of thing, like, ooh, look, we've scared you.
Yeah.
But it was just so
Serious.
Yeah, and I want to say raw. It was brilliant. It
it was just a guy, an
really
old man
brilliant.
walking around telling the stories that he'd
Yeah.
heard as a child, basically.
Yeah. So if you go to Charleston, like I say, you do want to frighten the old teenagers, just take them, because that does the trick.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't take little kids. I'm not that mean. I wouldn't take like kids under the age of 11, 10 or 11 maybe, unless they were really, really
Couldn't
brave.
take kids under the age of 4.
I wouldn't take newborns.
No.
All right then. So anything else? Because we're coming to. Oh no, it's only 23 minutes.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the. I'll tell you what else we did as well. Do you remember? Because we're travel on a budget. Do you remember we went and sat on those steps, and that lady was there, and she was making like crosses out of like, was it flowers or do you remember?
What was she making? Was
She
it crosses?
Yeah, she was making crosses, and she was making them out of like reeds or something like that. And we sat on the steps and I was watching her, and it must be the drop-off place. I'll put the location in the notes, but it must be the drop-off place for all the tour buses that come in.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
And to sit there for like an hour and watch everyone get off the tour bus. I don't know. I just love seeing people getting off a bus and like looking around and like, oh, where should we meet? And what are you going to go and do? And or like, you know, returning back to the bus and they're like, oh, what did you see? And what did you do? You can gain so much knowledge listening to people who have actually been walking around the city.
Yeah.
And, you know, like just pick up what they thought about it. And yeah, so...
It was the old custom house.
It was the old custom house steps, was it, that we sat on? Yeah. Okay. And yeah, just go, don't... Oh, I always say this, but it's so true. Whenever you turn up somewhere, don't be like, bang, 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 bang. You know, we're going to go and see, we've got this at 2 o'clock and we've got that at 3 o'clock. You just won't get a feel for the city, I don't think, if you do that.
Yeah.
You know, just take your time, go and sit on the custom house steps go and get a takeaway coffee and sit there. And
do what locals would do, you mean?
Yeah, just hang around at a bus stop or, you know, I just like doing things like that because it really, you know, we were just talking about this earlier, weren't we? When we were talking about what we did at the table when we were just eating the pancakes. What were you just saying?
About what? When
I said to you, that's not seeing it the real way. Oh, yeah, New York, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you asked us why we weren't allowed to stay
in Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because when we went to New York, we stayed in Queens.
Mm-hmm.
No, the Bronx?
Queens?
Queens. Yeah, and we had to get a bus, to get another bus, to get into New York. To get a train into New York, wasn't it? And it was brilliant, you know, because you were with the locals and you're just like, just queuing up at the bus stop with them and just, I would much rather that than, I know you probably wouldn't, Sonny, but...
No, I would, it's nice. It was a bit scary when we went and walked through the Bronx, though.
Yeah.
Just going to say, that was scary.
Well, we'll do a...
What was that?
Yeah, when we went to get the muffin.
Harlem. That was right.
Yeah.
We walked through the Harlem. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll do another one on that.
And then we went and sat in the library as well, didn't we, in Charleston?
Oh, yeah, the library in Charleston, because we just wanted I think we wanted to get warm, actually.
Yeah, we did. We just wanted to get warm and get Wi-Fi.
No, yeah, you wanted Wi-Fi. That's what I knew there was a reason.
Yeah, just wanted to connect
Did you?
back to the world without horse and carriages and, you know, men taking us on tours and just for 5 minutes, you're just like, I wonder what's happening back home in New Zealand.
Wonder what Laura's having for a tea. Yeah, so if you need some Wi-Fi, there you go. Look, you can go to the public library in Charleston. It's you yawning there, Sonny? Am I keeping you awake? You realise when you stretch, that chair creaks like mad. So anything else then? So we've covered the public library, we've covered the places to park, the tour, places to eat. Mm-hmm. We also did some really nice evening walks down on the promenade. Do you remember? And there was these big, lovely big swings that you can sit on. Do you remember those big wooden swings? They're almost like a bench, a swinging bench, and it overlooks the sea.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Remember?
Yeah.
And we saw.
What did we take down there? We took something down there to eat.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was.
We probably just took some.
Was it dinner? I think we took fish and chips down.
I don't know.
Did we do that?
No, we didn't do fish and chips because we went to that pizza place for our dinner. But no, we just went down. Oh, I think we maybe just got some chocolate or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Something like that. But
you can go down there and it's just really nice. It's just, you just go and sit and you can see right out to the sea. And we saw some seals. Do you remember when we saw those seals? And yeah, it's easy. Visiting Charleston is easy.
It is, yeah.
Isn't it? It's just, it feels very homely. It feels very safe and just...
It's not very big, but it is big.
Yeah, yeah.
It just doesn't feel big.
It doesn't, does it?
Because it's just easy to get around. Maybe it's not big. Was it big? I don't remember.
It's a big city, but you've got the old part and the new part.
Yeah, the old part and the new part.
We were just in the old part.
Yeah.
We just stayed around the little
cute buildings.
Excuse me. Yeah, the painted buildings and things like that. All right then. So, anything else you want to add to Charleston?
No, not really. That's kind of it, isn't it, for Charleston?
Yeah. All right. And Sonny, I really like having you back.
Oh, thanks. Nice to be back.
So we'll say goodbye. Oh, and just to let you know as well that Brian has been putting us on lots of other channels now. So he's done Apple Google Play and Stitcher and Spotify and we're
many
everywhere now, Sonny.
platforms. Yep.
We're everywhere.
Platform wide.
Yep. So I'm going to say goodbye and thanks for listening to our Charleston talk.
Yep, thanks so much for listening, guys. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a 5-star review on iTunes. And if you don't, well, you're a bad person.
Oh, Sonny, don't say that. Sonny, did I tell you when I went onto iTunes, some people have commented. Did I tell you that?
Or is it I left a 5-star review?
No.
What was it?
What do you mean?
What are they saying on iTunes? What have they commented?
Yeah, like left a review going, oh yeah, this is a really...
Any bad ones?
No.
Good, okay.
No.
Good people out there then.
Yeah, no, they're just saying, like great podcasts and things like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
really
nice.
nice to know. So
Yeah, well, so, yeah, if you did enjoy, leave us a 5-star review, and if you didn't, well, we don't want to hear about it. And yeah, anyway, we'll hope to...
we don't really care.
If you didn't enjoy it, just don't tell us. We hope to see you, hear you, feel you listening next week.
Your presence.
Yeah, on the It's a Drama podcast, and yeah, have a good week.
Okay, see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on the podcast. We have loved having you here.
If you guys could subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review,
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
that would be absolutely amazing. And make sure to share the podcast with your friends.
And if you'd like to hop over to the blog, find one of the little boxes that ask you to drop your email. I will send you a newsletter every week letting you know when we've released our new podcast. That will go
that'll be nice.
straight into your inbox. So it's www.itsadrama.com.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next week for another podcast.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.